Hello everyone, I'm Rosphere, and in this video I'm going to talk about covenants and the issues they cause with game design. But before I get into that, you're probably noticing a couple things. First off, there's a VTuber avatar on the screen, and yes, that's me. I made that. It took me a little bit longer than I said it would or than I thought it would to get it made, just because I had to learn a new program to make it happen. But with that being said, I did all custom textures for the most part. Yeah, the character's I think it's a rather unique character, and I had a lot of fun making it. I don't know if it's going to stay here in the YouTube videos. It's more of a live streaming thing, I think. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, I'll be live streaming probably here on YouTube, maybe on Twitch. I'm not sure which one yet. So one of those two things will be happening probably with the release of Cyberpunk. I'm going to be going over the game design of that as well. I feel like moving out of World of Warcraft and talking about just game design in general would be a lot of fun. So I'm going to be continuing with World of Warcraft, obviously, but moving into some other games. Also, I got a new mic. I hope you guys like that. And with all that being said, let's get into the video. Okay, so when it comes to covenants and game design and the issues that they create with game design, when you look at World of Warcraft, you have a set number of classes, and each class has 3 specs, and with the exception of demon hunters that have 2 and druids that have 4. So assuming that each class has the same number of specs, then you have a pretty easy way to go about balancing the game. And when you add covenants into that, you're adding a tuning knob on top of the 3 existing tuning knobs that then adjusts those other 3 tuning knobs simultaneously. So you're creating a situation where it's almost impossible to balance. And the best example of that, at least in current World of Warcraft, where Shadowlands is right now, is the Marksman Hunter. So looking at Hunters more closely, you'll see that their single target damage is pretty much on par with the rest of everybody else. The issue comes into play with them when you look at the Night Fate Covenant ability, which I'm not 100% sure what it does. I just know that a Night Fate Hunter will do massive numbers when it comes to AoE. You'll see them spiking well over 10k in some scenarios, and when doing single target, they're on par with everybody else. So they'll be doing double or even triple some people's AoE numbers, and that's a huge issue because there's no way for Blizzard to fix this problem without breaking hunters in their current state or causing a lot of people to be really upset. So what Blizzard could do is nerf marksman so that it does way less damage and brings the AoE down in line with everybody else's AoE. But then their single target is going to be so low that nobody's going to play marksman anyways, so it won't matter. So the other thing they could do is nerf Night Fae to the point where it brings their AoE down in line with everybody else's. But then those people that pick Night Fae are going to be really upset because I believe there's another covenant that's slightly better for single target. So there's really no way for Blizzard to balance this because of those problems. And this problem exists with other classes and specs as well. I know for a fact with Shadow Priests that the best damaging ability is supposedly the Necrolord ability. But I went Venthyr because honestly I don't like the Necrolord ability. I don't like the fact that I have to move myself into a bad position usually just to get off a really good AoE nuke. It doesn't feel good and it's not fun to use. It feels very unintuitive to me, and at the same time the conduits just aren't that great either for the Necrolords, and the Venthyr have really good conduit to start off with. So it's one of those where I feel like I should have picked Necrolord, but I didn't, just because it's not fun to play. Because the difference in DPS, for me at least, I think is around 1 or 2%. It's not a huge problem, but with Hunters it's a huge problem. So other classes and specs are having similar issues with covenants already. They're not to the extent that Hunters are having it, because Hunters are just so overblown in AoE, it's ridiculous. And I think that I've come up with a solution that could be really fun, and at the same time fix a lot of these problems. So in my experience with game design, when you're running into a situation where you're just not going to be able to balance something properly, and everybody's just going to be really frustrated continuously throughout a long period of time while you try to balance these things, and then changes are very punishing in that when they make a change, it feels like you chose wrong, and then you have to go repick something else and start over from the beginning, and it creates a whole lot of problems that you really don't want to have to deal with. So if you have a situation like you have with Covenants and what Blizzard is in right now, the best solution is to break everything. And now when I say break everything, I mean, you look at hunters doing massive numbers in AoE, well, then break everything so that other classes or other covenants for other classes are just broken in, you know, different ways, right? So they do huge single target, or they do huge AoE, or they do huge burst healing. A good example for something that you could change like this that would make Shadow Priests ridiculous, double the cast time of the I'm forgetting the name of the ability, but the single target nuke that comes with Venthyr, double the cast time of it and then triple the damage. Now, I know that sounds a little ridiculous because it's already critting for like 10k, so it would be critting for like 30k and one-shotting mobs or even, you know, players in PvP. Now, that might be an over-exaggeration of what should be done, but doing things like that, just upping the numbers for other people's Covenant abilities, could be the solution. Rather than bringing somebody down to bring them in line, is you bring everybody else up. Now, you do obviously have to be careful when you do this, because doing certain things could just completely break portions of the game to the point where people won't want to play them, right? So if you had Shadow Priest just one-shotting people in Arena, people aren't going to be too happy about that. Even if you did double the cast time and make it really easy to interrupt, it would still get off sometimes and people would get really frustrated. So things like that aren't fun, but bringing everybody up to a point where they're doing huge numbers, they're doing more, rather than bringing one person down, is just in general more fun. And when you're working in game design, I remember when I was at my first job, we were having a meeting, and I forget who it was, but somebody was talking about how to make the game fun, and they just simply said, to make a game fun, all you have to do is remove everything that is unfun, right? So if you get rid of all the unfun, then all that's left is fun. And I mean, that sounds simple and it's kind of stupid way to put it, but if you get rid of things that aren't fun in the game, then generally the game becomes more fun because you don't have to deal with the unfun parts of it. So bringing everybody up and making everybody more powerful and breaking abilities and just making them more ridiculous, in the long run is going to be more fun than it would be to bring people down and nerf people, because getting nerfed is never fun. It never feels good, even if it is better for the game in general. So in conclusion, I think Blizzard buffing everybody and making everybody feel more impactful with their Covenant choices would be much more fun and a much better solution than nerfing everybody and trying to keep them all in the same line. Breaking them in a certain direction, like this Covenant's really good at AoE, this Covenant's really good at single target, this Covenant's amazing with healing, this Covenant's the best tank, like insane for tanking. Like, making them feel that way would just be so much more interesting and fun, at least in my opinion, than having them all be kind of equal. Because making everything equal makes it feel less fun in that it's not really an RPG choice. I know that, you know, Blizzard's talked about that, and a lot of a lot of creators have taken issue with them saying, oh, we want these to feel really strong because we want it to feel like you're making a real choice as far as like an RPG goes. And I think that's what Blizzard's been trying to go for, and I think making them really powerful and not trying to worry about balancing them as much would lead to that choice being more interesting than others. So I know that, you know, Simcraft or whatever would end up mathing it out and all this other stuff, and, you know, taking the quote-unquote fun out of the choice and stuff like that, but I mean, people don't, for the most part, don't really care about that. We've seen that with Covenants already. People are just kind of picking whatever they want, so I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. So with all that being said, please keep an eye out for the live stream for Cyberpunk. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to stream here on YouTube or Twitch. I'll probably be announcing that in a YouTube video. If I'm over on Twitch, I'll post a video letting everybody know where I am and giving a link and things like that. Probably won't have any viewers because everybody's going to be streaming that, and they're going to be watching the big streamers like Shroud and all them. But I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to break down the game design of Cyberpunk, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure to check that out. Keep an eye out for that. And I will see you in the next one.